Hello everyone, I'm back again. It's been a few days not streaming because I've been having to tidy up in here. This is looking a lot better in here than it was before. And I've also been sorting out other streaming activities. I'm going to be doing some music streams again, but I've been sorting out the performance setup for that. It takes time, and I've only got really the evenings so to do these things. But I'm back tonight. I'm going to carry on with the recreation of Lettoroids, and this is where I got so far. It's coming along pretty well, but some tweaks. But main thing is I need to be able to shoot the enemies, so that's what I'm going to be looking to do. And for that I was working on the collision detection, and I think I sorted out the issue that I had with that. Let's see if when I do the update shots, what I want to do is see if I can detect a collision. So let me just check with that a minute. No, I don't know if I checked that collision flag. So let's look at where because I'm trying to remember where I was at. I'm going to look at where I had the collision array, sprite collisions. I can trace it back by seeing where that is in the file. So this is handle ship collisions, update shots. Oh, it is there. Look, it's right here. So let's just check that. If I do jump halt, it should freeze the moment a shot hits something. Like, I didn't hit anything. Right. That one hit that alpha, and it so detected a collision. So that's good. Before I continue, I'm just going to, because I noticed something, which is that I need to ignore collisions if they are out of off the screen, basically. And I think I have a similar check that I do for ship collisions. So explode ship, which is called from somewhere in here, under kill ship, under letter death. It's this check. I'm going to put a comment here. Ship is safe out of bounds. So off the top of, or the bottom of the screen. And that's this check. Load a sprites abstiff y coordinates less than 8. Well, I'll rewrite this, but there's like, if it's actually it's from 192 to -8. I'm kind of wondering, why do I have that check here? Check if out of bounds. Oh, I'm going to see how I did it here. Oh, there's I put the comment in the wrong place. That's why it's confusing me. I should put the comment here. Compare 8 with the Y high byte, and then so we load that, and we that's of the letter. I think let's go back a bit. Oh right, so I'm being really silly here. It starts here. So I load the X coordinate, and is it less than 8? Oh, no. Wait a minute. That's where I need to add comments. This is actually check bounding boxes of ship against letter. Ah, it's right up here. I didn't see that. In check for inbounds collision. I was looking totally the wrong place. So there we are. Let's compare with 8. And also 191, because it's not -8 that I want. It's because there's that over here. There's this area up here will be a safe area, because I need it for the HUD. And the nature of things here is that the HUD is on the same display. There's nothing I can do about it. It means that it will trigger collisions. You can collide with the HUD. So the way I solve that is that there are no collisions with the HUD. So any collisions in that over that are ignored. It works. So it's a great exercise in making pragmatic compromises in your game design, and so it's really powerful. Since I started making games with this, that consideration is always present, and so that trains you into thinking about how you can, well, you know, think outside the box type of thing, instead of being in the very kind of regimented way that people design games these days, where it's never an issue. The HUD never interferes with your gameplay. Well, the thing is that you would never think of doing that because you treat them as two completely separate systems. But wouldn't it be fun if there was a game that did that? You could figure out a way to make fun out of having the game interact with the HUD directly, or even as a joke. It becomes a thing you could do, but people don't even think about it. But working, you see, because the problem here was that literally when you're worrying about performance of everything, I really didn't like the idea of, you know, solving this in some other way because of the cost in CPU cycles and the cost in memory. But anyway, this code here is the code that checks to see if we're in a good range or not. And I know I could just make this into a function, but the behavior is probably going to be slightly different for a shot as a normal sprite. So here we have potential collision, and we'll just, so was it inbounds in the play area? Hey, refly. Jabber the HUD. Yes. Now there you go. You want a crazy idea for a game? Here we are. We have Dino gives free game design ideas. Jabber the HUD. So what that is it's a kind of Star Wars inspired game where you have to defeat a Jabba the Hutt-like character who would not be actually Jabba the Hutt in playing a video game. But the problem is that Jabba cheats because he throws things directly at your scoreboard. So he messes with the scoreboard, you see. So you then build your game around the idea that the enemy character is messing you up through the HUD that is actually not part of the world. It's breaking the fourth wall or fifth wall, a wall, breaking some kind of thing. I could tell you that would be, someone should try that because they'll end up with something fun and original. Jabba the HUD. You heard it here first here on this stream. Someone's going to make a game breaking the fourth wall between the HUD and the score, actually. The score display in the game itself. There we are. Going to be a hit. Whoever does this is going to be rich. That's actually a reference to the Big Bang Theory. But never mind. Right, as a mode. The three laws of editing as a mode. Right, we got load sprite, compare it with 8. If it's yeah, here we have an RTS. It means it's actually off the top, but I don't care if it's off the top. I don't care to do an RTS. I need to go to the next shot. So the next shot would be SU2. So I could actually do branch if carry clear to reverse the sense of it. Dot SU2. And then we can get rid of that and that. Don't need that anymore. So that's fine. And then compare it with 191. The carry flag is going to be set if so that's just SU2. I think that works as well. So what happens there is that if the shot is out of bounds, it just goes to the next shot. We'll see how that does. How are you doing, Refly? Good to see you. Right. So that's a bit weird. Okay, no, right, no, that probably is all right. What I need to do is not have it hit anything. If I fire down like this, they should be, yeah, that worked. Oh, that didn't. So it's probably, I need to make this a bit bigger, like maybe 10. I'm not so impressed. Branch if carry clear dot SU2. Branch if carry clear dot SU2. 10. Okay, let's just do a jump to .su2. That made no sense. So know the rules. Doesn't make sense. Do something that makes sense, even if it seems trivial. Okay, right. Well, that. Good evening, John. How are you doing? You just missed Jabba the Hutt. It's Refly's idea. I was just fleshing it out. Let's try it out on you. Without rewinding the stream, what is the game Jabba the Hutt? And your clue is... Well, I'll give you the clue if you... I won't give you the clue straight out. A game design for a game called Jabba the Hutt. That works fine, right? So it means that if I jump to SU2, then we should be fine. What? Duh. Look, what am I checking? I'm checking the ship coordinates. That isn't really going to help very much. We need to put plus shop index, shots index. There's no shop. There's no shop in this game. I'd always moan at students when they were working on their games for Game Lab. And it's like there wasn't enough substance to their game. And so the first thing they would do is they'd say, okay, we need a shop. It's just like, no, please, please, not another ruddy shop. You're not going to make your game more exciting and more fun by adding a shop. Just like adding more adverts when we're watching TV. No, you need to focus on your core concept. Oh, right. I used to have a Mac Mini. It got stolen. Oh, that's a story. Anyway, that's for another time. So let's see if this works. No. Oh, right, no, that was uncontrolled test. Okay, that's fine. I should be able to change this back to 8 probably. That's looking good. You managed to get Windows 11 running on a Mac Mini. What kind of sorcery is this? Wow. I'm impressed. So I think now that's fine. And now if I actually have to hit a letter now in order for this to stall, we have to hit a letter like that. Now I need to detect which letter. Which letter is it? Can't really do a distance check. So what we do is similar code to what I did with the ship, but let's just redo it. I can't just copy and paste thing. See, I copy and pasted the other thing and then ended up introducing a bug. Which letter? So we need to do a loop inside a loop. I'm going to use the Y register, load Y immediate. And what immediate num letters -1, and there's going to be some kind of jump here to SU, say 4, where I'm going to decrement the Y. Oh. Decrement the Y and then branch if plus dot SU5. Just doing the pattern now, SU5. So this is setting up a loop similar like a for loop. Load Y num letters -1, decrement Y branch if plus SU5. Jump to SU4 for a continue. That's the thing. Continue is actually like a go-to. 3rd gen Core i5 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Apple says 8 gigabytes is the max it can take. And Microsoft says, well, you know, say about the minimum specs. Yeah, of course. They all say stuff. Everybody says stuff. We know. I feel happy about something today. Brings back a little tiny bit of confidence about the world. I had a tweet that went viral by my standards. A tweet going viral. It doesn't take much from normal to get viral. I have a tweet here that has got 6,683 likes, 77 retweets. That's the best performing best performing tweet I have ever posted. And I'm quite proud of this one, because in Germany, a German city has installed a number of sleeping pods for houseless people fitted with thermal insulation. Don't know if you can see that. It's probably too bright. You know, it's a good idea. I mean, you know, in the cold weather, it's cold still at the moment. You've got people who's sleeping rough and they're dying. You know, it's kind of needs something to do something about this. So they've made these little sleeping pods. And so, of course, there's always, whenever this happens, there's something of potential good for people. You know, in this case, to prevent people from, you know, dying. Said, this is the worst idea of time. I guess of all time, unless the goal is to attract homeless people. And I just went, it's enough. It's enough. We get these people all the time saying stupid things like that. Enough. We've had enough of the psychos. So I replied, you know how you get someone out of the gutter by giving them a helping hand, not kicking them down. You are missing compassion. Too little compassion is what puts people in the gutter. Please go find some, together with your 829 indignants. Those were the people who liked his flipping tweet. Well, his tweet has now got nearly 2,000 likes. And that's 2,000 people out there liking a criticism of saving lives, right? But my tweet has got a reply to that, 6,687. I think the compassionates have it. That's democracy. Yes, we should not be dicks about people who die. Wonderful. So I'm proud of the fact that, you know, my best tweet ever is on a topic of compassion. Gives me a bit of hope. Alessandro, ciao. Buona Pasqua. Pasqua. Well, Pasqua's in a few days, but Buona Pasqua. Yes. I've got next week off. I'm looking forward to that. How are things in Italy? I hear, is this true, Alessandro? Did they ban ChatGPT from Italy? Is this true? They banned ChatGPT. I think that's going a bit far. ChatGPT itself is not really, you know, that dangerous. I haven't actually used it. It's true. Oh, that's crazy, because I use it a lot now. You know what I use it for? I use it to find documentation. I use it because I can say what it is that I'm specifically looking for, and I don't have to spend ages going through different pages, because usually when I'm looking for something, it's a bit obscure. So you can go and ask it, you know, how do I you could go and ask it, how can I install Windows 11 on a 3rd gen Core i5 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it will tell you. The point there being, it can pull out the information given a complex description. A normal search doesn't do that. Our privacy issues. Really? What privacy issues? Hang on. They're saying that users' data is not safe. Processing. Hang on. This doesn't make sense. When something doesn't make sense, guess what? When something doesn't make sense, then it means there's an ulterior motive, and then I have to figure out what the ulterior motive is. That makes no sense. Because ChatGPT does not connect to the internet per se. It's like the core of it is not connected to anything, and also people can't communicate to each other through ChatGPT. I can't ask ChatGPT to contact someone. And it's got a knowledge cutoff of 2021, September or so, 2021. So it's not, the AI part is not pulling in any user data. So the only possible criticism, oh, you were? Oh, Refly, thank you. That makes sense now. That's a serious matter. That's a huge matter. So in other words, they spent all of this investment in all of the hardware and infrastructure for making ChatGPT work, and then they screwed up their security. Wonderful. That's because who needs security when you have a monster AI? That's horrific. If you could see other people's questions. Presumably they fixed it, so hopefully they fixed it, and then Italy will change their minds. But I suspect there might be ulterior motive that might drag that on, you know. Really? Okay, it gets worse. All right, it's nothing to do with AI, in other words. It's back. Well, that's the funny thing, because when, of course, when this gets reported, everybody reporting it is going to present it as though Italy has banned AI. Welcome to the wonder of the Western world. Ah, geez. Anyway, never mind. They guarantee privacy. Yeah, I mean, from what you tell me, that makes sense, right? That's terrible. Anyway, let's move on. So what I need to do now is I have my number of letters. I'm scanning through the letters. I need to get the so I need to put this to letters index. So we need to get the, and we'll start with the x-coordinate of the letter. We got the x-coordinate of the letter. I have the x-coordinate of the letter, everybody. I have it in the accumulator. Sorry, I'm trying to focus myself here right now. It's like, focus. Accumulator. Accumulator has the x-coordinate of the letter. Now what I want to do is compare the x-coordinate, compare it with the x-coordinate of the shot. I could do a compare command on that. Or is that good enough? Yeah, well, let's do that. If I need to adjust it, I'll adjust it in a bit. So what I do is compare that with the shot, which would be shot index comma y. Now, if the shot index is, if the shot is less than the letter, then we can skip it. So that's true if the carry flag is set, because we subtract. Right, okay, so it's branch if carry set. This is no SU6, no collision. I know I could make the label more sensible, but the problem is due to conflicts. I suppose I can do this. Why don't I do this? You can do both, then it's unique. So SU6 no collision. So on the other hand, then I need to, this is a silly way of doing it. Let's set the carry flag and subtract. Still works. If the branch carry set no collision, but now I have in the if it was like that, then I have a negative value in the accumulator, and I can do a compare with, say, -8, and if I compare it with that, compare it with -8, and now if, so the actual fact -8 becomes 256 minus 8, or 148, and because I've got to think of it in terms of unsigned values, at 148 subtracted away from that, if it's between 148 and 255, then it's a collision. So it's a collision if the carry flag is set. So branch of carry clear, SU6 no collision. Otherwise, it's found the letter that I'm checking against letters. That's not what I should have done. I should be checking against enemies. I don't blow up letters in this game. Num enemies. Oh dear, I'm exhausted. Let's check the chat. Hey Alan, I have to drive. I'll try to check in later. I have a working VSync and sprite moving on the atom. That's wonderful. I'm so excited. Especially, you know, if I've kind of inspired anybody to do some atom programming, that's just like wonderful. Be good to show that off. Maybe figure out a way to make that happen on the stream. But that's brilliant. 2 big news on TV and newspaper in Italy in the past 2 days. Okay, we're going to have an update on the state of Italy. The state of Italy. It's not, the country of Italy. The state of the country. That's a funny phrase, actually. Anyway, num enemies -1, and then we take the num enemies here and we put that there, right? So we're doing enemies now. And so at this point, I have a collision with an enemy. So what I'm going to do is do jump halt, and we can test this. No, well, we could if we did have a syntax error on line 829. You get this kind of problem when you treat code as a guideline. Num enemies. 829. There would be a syntax error. Oh, yes. There is no sub. It's sub with carry. Numero uno. We're out of... You're kidding me. So you're out of pasta. Yeah, there's a food discomfort. This was coming for some time. You know, I mean, Italy out of pasta, that's a serious matter. Well, at least you're still in Europe, so maybe there's an opportunity for people to collaborate when it comes to food shortages. The UK, they're on their own. Oh, maybe all the pasta, just because of a mistake in shipping, is... I know where it is. All your pasta. Somebody made a mistake in shipping the stuff around, because these days food comes from everywhere in the world. It's all stuck in the queue in the UK, either coming in or out of France, either going into the UK because it got misdirected, or some fool decided it was a good idea to send it to Britain first. So if you have run out of pasta, it's all at Dover right now. Oh, hang on. He takes a step back. I missed that, you tricky little people. It was Alessandro said 2 big news on the TV and newspaper in Italy for the past 2 days, and Refly answered. So, you know, and Refly, you're not Italian, and you're Belgian. It's stuck in a ship on the Suez Canal. It's entirely possible these days, because I tell you, the world's insane. That's what we do, you know. Instead of people having some kind of, instead of like having security in distributed generation of wealth that also gives people jobs, it's consolidated into sort of one place. Like, let's grow all the crops that Europe needs in the Ukraine, and then or whatever. Or let's send all the world's food through the Suez Canal. I'm sort of exaggerating. But yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I'm really getting very belligerent at the moment, the whole of the politics thing and so on. It's crazy. I just have you seen the tweets from Keir Starmer, the the political wing of, I call Labour now the political wing of the Conservative Party. And I'm theorising that, the Conservatives are a bit tired now. They've been in power so long that they're looking for a break. And so what they're going to do is have Labour keep things warm for them while they figure out their next evil plan and take a bit of R&R. You prove to me that I'm wrong. What's my favourite Italian food? It varies from time to time. I can only tell you the one that popped into my head just then when you said it, and it's got to do with my mood, perhaps. Penne arrabbiata. That's what came to mind first. And, especially when it's done really well, it's an exquisite dish. It hits the spot, and it's got the word arrabbiata in there, so it's got to be good, hasn't it? That means angry. Penne arrabbiata. Penne is a type of pasta. It's basically got some chili in it. It's got a bit of bite. It's nice. Anyway, I'm going to try to get back to. It's all right. It's all right. Don't be deceived. It might be that I'm distracting myself, but what's actually happening is my subconscious is reorganizing these lines of code. Value defined. Yes, might help if I actually put in the no collision thing. Right, let's try this again. I suppose I could have just used that SU4. In fact, let's just do that. SU4, no collision. Doesn't matter what number I put, not really, but right. Let's try again. Yes, of course he was. Tony Blair was the Trojan horse. I mean, my memory is starting to fade a little bit on this, but basically there was this. Look, what happened with Jeremy Corbyn, it's not the first time. This is important to realise. This whole pattern has happened before. The previous victim of the same plot was Michael Foot, who was also a genuine traditional Labour, what they would call left wing. But now, anything that's like, let's look after homeless people is now considered left wing. I mean, so it's like whatever. But he was, definitely traditional Labour. And he was condemned by the press. He was sabotaged in the extreme. He was made to look a fool. And I think Tony Blair is the one who came in to replace him. And I might be getting my history a bit mixed up, but then the timing. But they definitely did pull a Jeremy Corbyn on Michael Foot. I was there. I saw it. It was preposterous. And I say that as at that time, I was more right towards what then was the right than I was the left. I still thought it was preposterous. In fact, woke me up to the game of the politics, frankly. It was terrible. And Margaret Thatcher's quoted, I should check at some point, you can check, but I do believe Margaret Thatcher was asked once what her proudest achievement was, and she replied, New Labour. And that tells you everything that you need to know. The Labour Party has never been the same since. And the problem is that the power structure within the party, because the political parties have a power structure, they don't serve the British people, they don't serve democracy, they serve themselves. It's like any organisation. It's every organisation everywhere this happens. You know, they do not serve, I'll say it again, they do not serve democracy, they serve themselves. This also happened with the unions, by the way, that when they became too, militant, they actually gave the fuel to Thatcher to do what she did, you know, but they were also organisations that looking after themselves. They look after their interests because you have people within it who are all, you know, they all have jobs. They want to keep their jobs. This is what happens. And so what I think happened is the Labour Party changed when Blair came, and then gradually more and more of the establishment found their way in to the Labour Party, and the Labour Party changed its shape and now is almost indistinguishable from the Conservative Party, which is a real threat to democracy, really, because, I mean, you've got a choice between, you know, right wing and right wing. And listening to Keir Starmer right now, he says things that I would consider a right wing. You see, everything is ratcheting to the right. It ratchets to the right. Until in the end, I mean, my God, there are even people who are saying that the BBC is left wing. Just come on, you BBC is left wing. Don't make me laugh. Ugh. What we need to do is outlaw political parties, because these political parties are the problem. They are a barrier between democracy and government. You've got democracy, the people, you've got government where decisions are made, and in between the two, because in theory, the decisions that are made should reflect the will of the people in some way, but they don't, because you've got this big thing in the middle. And that's the purpose of politics now, is to keep the democracy away from the decision making, and the parties, that's their job. You know, they're telling the MPs how to vote. You don't bother voting. You go and vote, and you get a little cubicle, and then you can vote in secret, and that's all treated as something sacred, but it's a flipping nonsense, because what's the point of me voting for an MP in secret? Oh, if that MP cannot vote in secret when they vote. Of course they can't vote in secret, because then I wouldn't know if they're actually voting for what I want, right? But that means that because they can't, it wouldn't work. So because they can't vote in secret, then it means, hello, yeah, they can be intimidated. And that's exactly what happens. Except Jeremy Corbyn, because he's been kicked out of the Labour Party, so now he's an independent. But the trick is that as an independent, you're not going to normally get a vote. You're not normally going to get into power. So if you want to get into power, you have to have the backing of a party. And what the party then does is ensure that you vote not in the interests of the people who voted for you, but in the interests of the party. Democracy is completely broken. Don't bother voting. There's no point. Rant over. I think we finally got the news items from Italy. Oh, so Berlusconi has been hospitalised and ChatGPT banning. So there isn't a pasta shortage in Italy. Thank you, Refly. I fell for that. I totally fell for that. Let me just recapture on the the chat. I'm trying to remember the name of the pasta I had for lunch at Bella Italia today. It was pasta strips with chicken and tomato sauce. So that would be tagliatelle, is the type of pasta, I think. If they are flat strips, it's tagliatelle. I think that's a pretty traditional thing. Chicken and tomato sauce. And lots of parmesan. Oh, did you see the joke about the real reason why they banned ChatGPT in Italy? It's because it said, it was asked, whether you could have pineapple on the pizza. And it said, well, you could have whatever toppings you like on a pizza. That's the reason why they banned it. It's plausible explanation, except, of course, we know that, in fact, there was another explanation. Shame, really. Still, right, two big news items. Pasta with chicken is not a typical Italian dish, you're right. It isn't. I kind of was going a bit querying there. I mean, tagliatelle isn't that the one that's often with seafood? But yeah, you're quite right. Chicken pasta is not, yeah. The real problem with Michael Foot is that the press tainted him as some kind of hapless tramp. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember now. I remember it as there was Michael Foot and then there was Tony Blair. It might be that John Smith became the leader of the opposition, and then Blair later. I don't know. But the point is that they painted him as a... And of course, the problem was that in this case, Corbyn was hugely popular. How did he not win? I still don't know how he didn't win. But I'm quite sure, I'm absolutely certain that for whatever reason that the Labour Party didn't win, I'm 100% utterly, completely and totally convinced it was under all circumstances not to do with any kind of dodgy stuff in the election at all. I'm totally, absolutely convinced of that. Don't try to tell me differently at all. I'm speaking in code again. Where were we? ChatGPT. So we've got Berlusconi is hospitalised. I didn't know that. He's quite old at this point. And given all the things that have happened to him, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a little bit of a heart issue. I think he's been in for a heart bypass already. Being a good politician these days means you have a problem work in your favour instead of fixing the problem. Oh, that's refly. That's such a topic for me at the minute, of people becoming attached to problems. It's so much in my theme at the moment. I wrote a damn song about it. You can solve any problem except the ones that you're clinging to. I'm going to look forward to performing that at some point. But honestly, and there's within political organisation where politics is rife, there is a trick, which is people always keep a problem or two in their back pocket. It's like you can use problems as excuses. You can use problems to create the impression that you're busy, that you know what you're doing, that you're working hard. You can use problems as credit, as a tool. I mean, Boris Johnson was genius at this. So absolutely. And so the thing there is that problem solvers are hated by people who, hoard problems. It's like someone comes along and says, I can solve this, I can solve that, I can solve this. Look, I'm going to solve this problem. You have this problem, we can solve that, we can solve this. These problems can all be solved. You go in there and you start solving them, and then they get mad at you because you're using their problems. See how twisted people become. It's crazy. And I'm don't think I'm being crazy here because I've seen this too many times. So I think you're absolutely right. The pasta shortage in Italy is fake. Phew, we've got civilization has got a few more years in it yet. That is always good. Pollo cacciatore. Yeah. Well, it'd be pollo alla cacciatora. Okay. It still doesn't sound right. I have to agree with you, Alessandro. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Michael Water said it best when he hopes that Labour scrape a victory and Corbyn's victory in Islington North will give him the majority. Oh, that would be so beautiful. That would be so beautiful. Yes. Could you imagine that? That Labour, having kicked out Corbyn, would need Corbyn. Almost praying that happens. It would just highlight the ridiculousness of the whole thing. And that, I think, is Corbyn's power now. He can highlight the hypocrisy and corruption of what's laughably called our system of government. Dear me. Yes, it is utterly despicable because Starmer he isn't the real thing. He is not the real thing at all. And he's getting more and more and more and more to the right, which has got to be part of their plan. It might actually be that their plan is, now that they have Starmer in there, Starmer's deliberately pushing to the right. And so in this way, it kind of normalises right-wing thinking. And you think that couldn't happen? Of course it could happen. We're not supposed to even consider the possibility. I'd have no proof, but I do know what human nature is. And I think it's important to keep in mind this could be true. Just keep it in mind, because that's how they get you. They being the people who are in power and who control you, whether that's corporations or individuals or governments or whatever it is. You know, it all works by that couldn't possibly happen, you know. That's how everybody gets away with everything. Roast chicken, pancetta, red onions tossed with pappardelle pasta in a white wine and tomato sauce, finished with pecorino cheese. I had dinner, but now I'm hungry again. Thanks, John. John Smith was leader of the opposition, then died. What was the problem? I'm kind of curious. I forgot about that. How did he die? He had a heart attack. I honestly don't remember. Well, he wasn't in office very long. I've got vague memory. Oh boy. Anyway, where were we? And then we got to tagliatelle a ragù, typical dish from Emilia-Romagna. Yeah, I'm getting more hungry now. It was the same with the Welsh fella, Kinnock. Neil Kinnock! I'm sorry, I forgot about Neil Kinnock. You're right. There's a whole bit there. I missed out Kinnock. So it was not Tony Blair, he's later. It was Neil Kinnock first. But Neil Kinnock there was a terrible thing that Neil Kinnock did. All of the polls said that Labour were going to win. Neil Kinnock celebrated before too early, and then the results came in and mysteriously Labour lost. How it's odd! Doesn't that sound familiar? It's like plot of a film, isn't it? The video of him falling over on the beach it shouldn't have taken anything away from him. But those were less civilized times, or more civilized times, depending which way you look at it. And, people also forget that it was Starmer who forced Labour into a position of a people's vote rather than continuing Labour's Brexit position. I don't know. I actually like Corbyn in general, but I think he made a huge error, huge error in backing Brexit. That was his mistake. Had he not backed Brexit, history would be different, because I think that the Labour Party would have won. But no, we'll never know. We'll never know. Time to print and start selling collectible trading cards. Problems, exactly. Problem cards. All right, anyway, there we are. Got to the end of the chat. Let's get on with it. Get on with it. Have I got here, if I do the shooting, I hit a letter. It should not have stopped, because it should only be stopping when I hit an enemy. I didn't hit an enemy there, did I? I didn't hit an enemy. What did I hit? I hit... Right. Let's check. Do you do branch of carry set with... All right. All I'm going to do is just try this for a minute. I'm going to comment out that one. So I'm testing this. If I shoot an enemy and the shot is to the left of any, like in this case, yeah, it should have jumped around, right? No, that worked. But that didn't. So this is a bit of a nonsense, isn't it? Oh. Why do I do the letters index? Oh, come on. Dear me. It's too much talking. Too little. Right, so what I do is I load the ship index into the accumulator, and I'm going to subtract. No, the shot. What am I talking about? Too much. Too much ranting. Too much ranting. Too little. Thingy. Right. I've got the shot index. I'm going to subtract from the shot index the enemy index. If the enemy is bigger, the enemy coordinate is bigger than the shot, then because I subtracted the shot, the carry flag will be set. But it's still possible it could be, it's the other way around. If the shot is less than the enemy, then there's no collision. And so if the shot is less than the enemy, we subtracted the enemy, then the carry flag will be clear. So this should be a branch of carry clear. We'll test that. This thing about left and right leaning is, there is a use in it, I think, from the point of view of talking about left and right, is as a relative thing, is that you can tell whether there's a movement to the left or a movement to the right. But per se, at any given time, left and right really doesn't have any meaning, because it's shifting all the time. So today's left leaning, what they call left leaning today, is probably right wing 50 years ago. So the point is balanced, and that's the point. You know, it's like, and how do we know when something is balanced? That's a difficult one. I am a subscriber to the Byline Times, primarily because I think we should have alternatives that should be supported through the mainstream media. Regardless of what, you know, how left or right they are, it's important that we have them. Stick with Facebook. Why not? It probably is as good as anything else. Right, so if I hit a letter to the right of the letters, I'm getting in trouble here. Come on, hit a letter, please. Yes, that one I think is working. And so then what I need to do is check. So if the carry flag is not clear, then it means that the shot is ahead of the enemy, and now I can compare it with 8 rather than -8. And now if the carry flag is clear, is set, it's no collision. Let's see if this works. So now what I should have is, as I go around and fire, it should not lock up until I hit an enemy. Well, that's wrong. Oh, actually, only checking the X. I need to do 2 such checks. I have to check for the X and the Y. That looks plausible though. Y shot index, blah blah blah. Y coordinate, blah 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 blah. All right, let's try that. Yes, that's this window here that you see is this window here is the atomulator. If I go full screen a minute. Desktop, you can see my desktop, and that's the atomulator right here. Yeah, I forgot I had full screen. Probably when I did that, my voice cut out, didn't it? Let's have a look. I think I've added it now, so that should be fine. And desktop has it. And we're back to Atom. Okay, yeah, I fixed that now. So now, if these shots hit anybody, that's their fault for getting in the way of them. No, if this shot hits an enemy, it should lock up. See? Let's have a look. Not. Oh. That's annoying. What went wrong? How am I going to figure that out? I don't know.